You're listening to AFL Nation for Macca's 24 McNuggets for $9.95.
A very good Sunday afternoon to you and welcome to Central Reserve in Colac for AFL Nation's coverage of Essendon and Geelong. Their final hit out in the JLT series. Shane McInnes with you alongside Cameron Ling. Lingy, a good opportunity to get a look at Geelong and Essendon both near enough full
people. So great to see so many turn out, and as I said, both teams have fielded strong teams ahead of round one and trying to get a really good hit out.
AFL Nation for Macca's McNuggets. Treat yourself as the ball's in dispute. Belchambers' kick partially smothered. Selwood drove his head through and drew the free kick.
Yeah, Dyson
Some
Heppel,
things don't change.
No, just lent into it a little bit then. Joel Selwood, the skipper for the Cats, and Dyson Heppel copped him high, and this will be the perfect start for the Cats if he can nail this one. And just looking around the crowd, it's a fairly even spread. There's a fair bit of red and black out there. It's not just blue and white, so good crowd for both teams today.
Joel Selwood kicking to the Colac end. He's missed. So Bombers breathing a sigh of relief early. The Cats one behind. Essendon yet to score. Tyre Power, no tyre safety scoreboard.
Goddard with the kick in. Finds Zach Merritt inside defensive 50. He in turn goes short to the skipper, Dyson Heppel, looking a little bit like Tom Hanks out of Castaway. Dyson Heppel, as he gives a quick handball away, goes to Merritt down that outer wing, wanted to get it in the McDonald, Tip and Woody direction, but his kick was smothered off the boot, and then there's a holding infringement. It'll be a free kick to Joel Selwood on centre wing on that outer side. Terrific crowd in here at Central Reserve. They're 8 deep in some parts as Belchambers tries to fly over the back of Stanley. Couldn't mark. Ball knocked back to him by Michael Hurley, as it now bounces and bobbles on centre wing. Selwood wrapped up by two, both Danaher and Devon Smith in his second game in the red and black.
Already seen today from the Cats, Harry Taylor just shifting back to that more customary role that we know that he's played throughout most of his career, down back, trialled up forward and did a good job trying to support Tom Hawkins, but playing down back, and with Tom Lonergan's retirement, I expect to see that for most of the season. Harry Taylor playing as the rock-solid defender that he is.
Cats one behind. Essendon yet to score. 2 minutes gone on the Ray White clock as Dangerfield exchanged with Duncan. Then slipped over. Evaded the Heppel tackle, however. Then Zach Merritt came and pressed. Dislodged the footy out for a throw in outer side wing position.
Ling, even for someone like Patrick Dangerfield, we know how good he is, but his first pre-season game, there's still a few cobwebs for him as well.
Oh, absolutely. No matter what, no matter how fit you are, how hard the pre-season's been, how much running you've done, the first 4 or 5 minutes of a proper hit out against opposition, you feel like you've done no pre-season at all. You blow up straight away. So important for Dangerfield, Selwood, just to blow those cobwebs out, get a little bit of touch, and then build into round one.
So it was either Reece Stanley or Mitch Duncan taken high. It was the latter. Had a wonderful 2017. Mitch Duncan goes long inside attacking 50. It's going to bounce up for either Gleeson or Hurley. Hurley sees it out of bounds, and a boundary throw in right forward pocket for the Cats. AFL Nation footy for Macca's McNuggets. Treat yourself through 3AW in Melbourne and relays right across the country. Great to have your company from Central Reserve in Colac. Geelong kicking toward the Colac end, left of our broadcast position in this opening term for Tyre Power. Boundary throw in. Hawkins got front position on Belchambers. Knocked it down. Merritt got a little handball out. McGrath got a kick forward. That kick smothered off the boot. Still about 40 metres out from goal for the Cats. Belchambers fed a handball back to Merritt, to Zaharakis, and now to Heppel. Heppel got it out further afield to Zaharakis. Now they might be out here, the Bombers, as Green just kicked short up toward the wing. But it's gone out of bounds, and we'll see a boundary throw in between wing and half forward for the Cats.
I don't know if this is going to be a trend throughout the year. Obviously, still a lot of games, a lot of footy to go. But Joey Danaher just trying to get right up high, almost roaming, starting at centre half forward, but then roaming right up the ground. It seems to be Stewart and Hooker playing a little bit deeper in that forward line. Danaher with a licence to pretty much run, looks like, wherever he likes.
Cats one behind. Essendon yet to score. Tyre Power scoreboard as Buse took them on. He was tackled, and that will be holding the ball. Goddard, the recipient, got play moving nice and quickly. Fed it off to Devon Smith, who drove it long, and Danaher rose high, took a Hang My TV mark of the day contender. His kick wasn't equal to it, however. He grubbed it inside 50. Evaded Hooker, and the Cats with numbers will prevail. Duncan, cool head, in a crisis, went short and found Taylor right back pocket for the Cats.
There is a reason why we get excited about Joe Danaher. I know he shanked the kick then, but even the mark on Harry Taylor, and then one step, it already wheeled and played on. He's a wonderful athlete, terrific footballer.
21 games in his debut season last year. Kicks to Dangerfield, who goes long up toward right half forward. No one able to mark. Ball comes to ground. Ratugolea dives on top of it. He's a big boy. Esava Ratugolea for Fijian Heritage.
I think you're going to have some fun saying that. We're going to have to
You know how many times I
it's
practiced?
Ratugolea or Ratugolea.
How dare you doubt me? How dare you doubt me? Ratugolea, nicknamed Sav. I've done my homework, Lingy.
You say tomato, I say tomato. I mean, we'll have to work it out. You've done your homework, as always, Shano.
Let you two continue your bickering as this one's not towards the boundary line.
I'll back you in, Shane, trust me.
And big challenge for him as well today, Lingy, playing on Hurley. Back for the Bombers today, so
he will learn a heap from today.
Baptism of fire.
Yeah, Hurley, one of the best key defenders in the game, and will run and attack. So he's going to have to be on his game. He'll learn a lot, and he'll put that into practice throughout the year.
6 minutes gone. Ray White clock. Another boundary throw in on the paint of 50 at right half forward for Geelong. And as we've seen so often in this JLT series, Lingy, really compressed type setup, and do you get the feeling that we're going to see a lot more of this throughout 2018?
We will, but I think what's compounding that is just the fumbles and the missed kicks and just the lack of touch of some of the players, and has been that scrappy start, only the one behind so far to the Cats, and I think that's just because it's a pre-season game, and throw in the fact that they only now play two of them, we're just seeing probably a few more skill errors than we normally would leading into round one. By round one, though, they'll have that touch, and the intensity will be there, and these players are smart. They know when to peak.
Hawkins knocked it down to Brian Myers. He was outstanding against the Gold Coast last week. His handball, though, errant, as a kick is cleared by Green, and it's out of bounds on the full. It'll be a free kick to the Cats. Right half forward for Geelong, Reece Stanley. Geelong that one behind. Essendon yet to score. Tyre Power scoreboard. Stanley sets it up inside 50. Flying up was Dangerfield. Got both mitts onto it but couldn't complete the mark, and another boundary throw in. Do you think in that case, being ready for round one, Lingy, it's better to have 3 practice games as opposed to 2?
It's the argument you could throw back and forth. I didn't like playing 3. I only wanted a couple, but some need that extra. I don't know. Yeah, each to their own a little bit. Even now linking up with a couple of handballs, it breaks down in pre-season games. Round one, they'll sort that out. They'll be fine with that, and it'll look a lot smoother.
Tui just toe-poked it inside 50, only as far as Gleeson for the Bombers, and now they build. Hurley runs off Ratugolea and tried to guide it towards McDonald, Tip and Woody. Kick wasn't precise. He was content to see it towards the boundary line and out for a throw-in on this broadcast side. On AFL Nation, 4 Maccas, 24 McNuggets, just $9.95. The Cats one behind. Essendon yet to score. Here's Shane McGuinness.
Still remember the first time we saw Anthony McDonald, Tip and Woody. It was against Geelong, pre-season match-up in Shepparton, and even then you knew he was going to be something special, and he's certainly proven that for the Bombers. The umpires found a free kick. It's going to go Geelong's way, and trying to play on was Constable, but it's going to have to come back, and the free kick to Tim Kelly, who's really been pumped up in this pre-season. Lingy, a mature age recruit for Geelong, and showed what he was capable of last week against the Suns.
He certainly did. In a poor game for the Cats, he was a real shining light. Not a good kick there, turns it over to Brendan Goddard, but he's one on my list, Kelly, that it's the first time I get to see him live. I'm going to watch him really closely. They talk very highly of him, and obviously a fantastic year last year in the Waffle, coming runner-up in the Sandover Medal, so he might have an impact early on in the year and play straight away from round one.
Yeah, 23 years of age, so certainly one of those mature age recruits, and Geelong's been able to get a few of those over the years as Merritt keeps it across half-back. That's Zach Merritt. Jackson Merritt not playing this afternoon. Gleeson at centre half-back. A little bit further afield to Heppel. He moves it out towards centre wing. Mark taken out there by Begley. Thumping kick inside 50. Back with the fly to the ball. Wonderful mark taken by Cale Hooker. That's a Hang My TV mark of the day contender.
That was brave by Cale Hooker. So brave. Harry Taylor was coming hard, and I think, talking about whether it was round one or a practice match, round one, Harry Taylor commits fully to that, and that is a huge collision. He did the right thing there and just... well, didn't pull out, but just didn't follow through with what could have been a really nasty collision. And Cale Hooker's passed it off. Shona, you've got the binoculars. Who too?
David Zaharakis marks in that left forward pocket. So you think about Cale Hooker marking like that, and Joe Danaher up forward. Becomes quite potent for the Bombers. The kick from Zaharakis on its way. Goal. Bombers with the first goal of the afternoon. It comes at the 10-minute mark of this opening term. Ray White time clock, Essendon 1 straight 6. Geelong 1 behind. Here's Cameron Ling on AFL Nation Footy.
Well, Cale Hooker, it's I'm sure a struggle for John Worsfold how to use him best, because as a defender, he's outstanding. I love him as a defender, but he's good when he does go forward, and his hands are so good. I think the nickname Buckets may have been used a few times. He's got massive hands. So I love the fact that he can support Joe Danaher, along with Stewart as well. It makes it that dangerous three-pronged forward line that is different to the way Richmond obviously ended up winning the premiership last year with just the one key forward. So Hooker's ability to swing both ways, that'll be important for them, but I'm assuming they'll go with him forward again for most of this year.
I suppose the big question will be, are they robbing Peter to pay Paul? We'll get back to that later, Lingy, because the Bombers win it out of the centre. McGrath dealt with, and there's a free kick inside attacking 50. In fact, it was Stewart who held Stewart, and James Stewart of the Bombers will line up 45 metres out on a 45-degree angle.
The question of robbing Peter to pay Paul is a good one, Tristan, because if Ambrose can play hold down a roll down back, if of course that Michael Hurley's body holds up and he's your number one man down there, if that all works down there and they've got the rebounding defenders, well, you can afford that luxury then. But you're right, if it starts struggling a little bit down back, I think Hooker's the first man who heads down there. 22
goals, 16 last year for the Bombers, James Stewart, and he strikes this one fairly nicely too. They've got 2 in a minute. Essendon on the Tyre Power scoreboard. Get the power of expert advice at Tyre Power. 2 straight 12. Geelong 1 behind as we tick up to 12 minutes in this opening term.
And Stewart's shown last year just in glimpses about how important he can be to that forward line. He's a huge bloke. He's a massive bloke, James Stewart. 94 kilos, 198 centimetres. He's mobile though, so he's not just a lumbering stay-at-home. And they all seem quite mobile between Hooker, Danaher and also Stewart. They can get up the ground, they're mobile. They don't just rely on marking the footy, so they seem to work as a threesome down there as opposed to going for just the one key forward and having 4 or 5 smalls around them. So that's something to watch all year for the Bombers, if those 3 talls actually gel together and work really well.
AFL Nation footy coming to you from Central Reserve in Colac. It's the Bombers and the Cats. Essendon leading 2 straight 12 to Geelong 1 behind. Parrish a free kick in the middle of the ground for the Bombers, but there's a pushing infringement. It's going to be a free kick to Zach Guthrie at left half back for Geelong. They kick to the northern end in this first quarter as Guthrie, short, goes onto the chest of Charlie Constable. One of a number of players looking to make their senior debut this season. Not a great kick, went to the pack on the wing, and Marty Gleeson was able to take it, squares it up into the centre of the ground, wants Begley, knocked away from him, spills to Constable again, little handball off to Mark O'Connor, rookie listed player at Geelong, to Duncan. He in turn now to Thurlow. Centre wing out of side of the ground. High ball inside 50. Chance for Blitzarves. Strong mark from Mark Blitzarves. 1-on-1 against Tom Bell Chambers. Just followed the ball, Lingy, and took a strong mark.
One of those moments where I'm really glad I didn't jump in over you then, Shane. I was about to say you do not want the ball delivered into your forward line like that, but Mark Blitzarves made the most of it. They had 3 Essendon players, one of them Bell Chambers, sitting in the perfect spot. Should have done better, but Blitzarves, a terrific grab. It'll give him a lot of confidence to nail this one.
Did a hike to the Mount Everest base camp during the pre-season. Looks to have done him well. Kicks the first goal of the afternoon for the Cats. They're 1-1-7. Essendon, 2 straight 12. All that Tyre Power scoreboard. Get the power of expert advice at Tyre Power on AFL Nation footy. Here's Cameron Lee.
Was he just worried about his fitness, perhaps? Headed up to Everest Base Camp?
I don't know.
Get a bigger
He's
engine.
doing Everest Base Camp. I don't know what that means I should be doing.
No, good to see. And he heads straight back to the centre square for this centre bounce. So that playing that role of the mobile ruckman at the moment, Reece Stanley having a rest. Rucking, being able to push forward on Tom Bell Chambers there. And as I said, the kick in was high and wasn't that pretty, but Blitzarves' ability to get forward and hit the scoreboard, that's going to add a lot to his role if he continues to play as that mobile ruckman throughout this season.
Decent game of footy unfolding. Now they've settled a little, these players. Parrish in his familiar neck of the woods. And just down the road in Winchelsea, he's tied up, ball locked in. AFL Nation coming your way around Australia from Central Reserve in Colac. The Cats and the Bombers, their last hit out before round 1. James Stewart playing that role of the second ruckman, drives it inside 50 with a really mongrel-looking punt kick. Buse attacked it. He arched his back, got his hands free. Cam Guthrie, nice turn of foot, left half back, chisels one inboard. Breakdown in communication between Blitz Sergeant Constable means the Bombers regain possession. Merritt let it slip through his fingers. Duncan slung in the tackle. Kolodjasny, errant handball. It's tight, it's tough. Bombers have it on ground level. Myers stripped of it. Well done, Blitz Sarves. He's on all fours. Now they pile in on top of him. And we'll see a stoppage 40 out from the Essendon attacking goal down the Otways end of the ground.
And that little passage there was when you can tell they're building for round one. That was some good, hard, strong tackling, repeat efforts. They just blows the lungs up a little bit, that sort of effort, but good to see.
Dangerfield comes charging through. Now they're starting to lift, as you're saying, Lingy. Just a little bit more intensity in this match all
more
of
physical,
a sudden.
Yeah, and that's what the smart players do. They just build towards it. Don't need to be going too crazy, but you still need to get hit a little bit before that round one comes along.
20 metres out from goal for the Bombers. Taylor got a kick away as he was tackled. Middle of the pack, though. Here's Dangerfield, just takes on all comers. Got a quick handball away. It was against the boundary line. Lucks of fortune for the Bombers. Built down to Stringer. Outside, right boot. Magnificent goal. A goal of the day contender. And I tell you what, if he's going to offer a bit of that this season, Lingy, it's one of the trades of the off-season.
Oh, absolutely. What a beauty in front of a few Essendon fans down there in that pocket. Sensational goal by Jakey Stringer. Head straight into the centre bounce too, so he's having those bursts on ball. Was resting forward when he did kick that goal. That was we know he can do that. That's the sort of thing he can do. He's trying to add to his game the ability to have an impact on ball as well. He will be one of the most intriguing stories of 2018.
He was disappointing against Richmond in Wangaratta, and you just get the feeling if he can get some confidence here with his new teammates, that bodes well for round one.
Absolutely.
Well, it's almost as if he's got a point to prove. 5 Kangan Institute stats and a goal early stages for Jake Stringer. Cats through Selwood, deliver it inside 50. Hawkins have been quiet so far. Myers hit it at speed. Bombers win it back. Goddard off to Sard. He was slung 360. Spills the way of Menzel. Cats a chance. 30 out from their attacking goal. Hawkins had it, lost it. Zach Merritt in over the top of it. Could have been taken high and then pushed. And the umpire spotted it too. So the Bombers a chance to reload, and they lead 3 straight 18. Geelong 117. Tyre Power scoreboard. Get the power of expert advice at Tyre Power.
Adam Sard, doesn't he add some speed to Essendon's midfield? Kick down to the wing. Hooker met it. Couldn't quite maintain possession against the boundary line. Here's Brian Myers now for Geelong. Loops a handball forward. Menzel able to run onto it. Considered giving it off. Instead lines up the goals and slots it. Daniel Menzel with his first of the afternoon. Geelong second, 2-1-13. The Bombers 3 straight 18. Tyre Power scoreboard, and I'm glad he had that shot instead of giving it off.
But did the right thing, didn't he, Shane? You caught it, looked inside, saw if there was an obvious one to kick it and centre it to. Wasn't on, took the responsibility, nailed the goal, and that's why he's such a quality player. He's a terrific finisher, ended up with 40 goals last year in 2017, and that was a fairly simple example of the way he can finish off, but he can turn not much into something pretty special. He'll just find you a way of kicking those couple of goals a game, and hopefully now all those knee troubles are behind him, but even just getting the continuity of having played a couple of seasons in a row, he just keeps getting better and better each week.
Great to have Cameron Ling on AFL Nation as the Bombers stream out of the centre. Bell Chambers cast in the role of a rover. Helicopters it inside 50. A shepherding free kick. And it's going the Cats' way. They've been red hot on this, Ling, in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that seemed to just be decent use of the body, trying to protect the space where the ball was dropping, but pinged him straight away for blocking in the marking contest.
O'Connor, after spilling the mark, tried to bust his way through. Umpires plucked out a free kick. It's going the way of the Irishman. One of our MEGT Rookie of the Day contenders, your local apprenticeship experts, MEGT. As the Cats move it towards right half forward. Here's Joel Selwood, clean pick up. 70 from home with the skinny side entry. Bombers in good position to spoil. And Hurley saw it out. In fact, it's out of bounds on the full. Hurley on the last line for the Bombers.
Just noticing, each time Jake Stringer does have a burst on ball, he's not tagging, but he is running around with Joel Selwood. So perhaps the Essendon coaches have said, go and learn from one of the absolute best in the business, the work rate, the running patterns of the midfielder, Joel Selwood. And Joel is certainly making him work, getting out into space on him and just trying to blow up that engine a little bit.
Perfect afternoon for football here in Colac. There's a strong contested mark taken by Paddy Ambrose for the Bombers, still at right half back. 23 degrees, light breeze, perfect weather to get the players ready for 2018. There's the kick from Hurley, just out in front in the end of Stringer. bounces, bobbles out of bounds, and a boundary throw-in. About 60 metres around from goal for Geelong. Northern or Colac end of the stadium. Essendon 3 straight 18. Geelong 2-1-13. Tyre Power scoreboard. AFL Nation footy through 3AW in Melbourne and relays right across Australia. As from the boundary throw-in, Zaharakis looked to extract. Lost it. Heppel dives on top of it. A couple dive on top of him, including Tim Kelly. And we'll see another stoppage this time at the edge of the centre square.
Maybe this is just an observation. We'll look at the numbers a bit closer later on as the game goes on. It feels like Essendon are rotating more players through the bench, and perhaps Geelong are just trying to stay out there a bit longer and get a bit of that game-type fitness ready for round one.
Kelly to Duncan, took on the tackler. Duncan just got away the handball in time. Because they going in the direction of Jermaine Jones, another rookie-listed player for the Cats.
In the JLT series, we know they can have the increased interchange benches and there's a lot more opportunity to rotate, but I wonder if Geelong take what the Bulldogs did yesterday and just have a limited number of rotations to make sure players get the time out on the ground and blow up a little bit ahead of round one.
Bombers by 5 points. Advantage paid after that free kick, so Stringer made the most of it. Kicked over the head of McDonald, tipping Woody, who tried to rake it in. Boundary line beat him to it. Nice transition though by Essendon. Ball to be tossed back in, left half forward, 70 from home. As we take a look at our injury update for Arnold Thomason-Becker, over 40 years experience in personal injury law. No Gary Ablett, and that's been well documented as he recovers from his hammy. Scott Selwood out with an ankle injury. Lockie Henderson, a troublesome knee. For the Bombers, Fantasia's gone under the knife with a dodgy knee, and Collier still out with a foot injury. So a few on the sidelines, but close to full strength nonetheless once Gary Ablett returns. Bombers clearance win. Begley bounced off Tui. Cats clear the danger zone. Parsons couldn't quite trap it on the half volley. His second effort fantastic, adjacent to the set of circles. A lot of players over the footy. It'll be going nowhere. Umpire on the scene to break things up. Essendon 3 straight. Cats 2-1-13. Tyre Power. No tyre safety scoreboard.
You mentioned those rotations too, Lee. It'll be interesting, particularly in the second half. There's a VFL match between these two sides following this seniors match, and some of the players in this game to play in that VFL match a little bit later today.
Oh, just give them a little bit of extra running. Play 8. Well, not 8 quarters, 8 eighths instead of just the one game.
I'm glad you corrected yourself on 8 quarters then. That was very well done. Zach Tui now for Geelong. Kick toward right half forward. Most commentators wouldn't have picked up that, Lingy, so you're in a mathematician coming to the fore.
It's early on in the season, Shane. I'm still fresh.
As now Marty Gleeson has it defensively for the Bombers. Playing a good game early. Kicks out to the wing. High flyer from behind was Stringer. Can only get a hand onto it. Spills to ground. Zach Guthrie's there. He can't get the pick up. Heppel can for Essendon. Kicks forward just over the head of Danaher. Geelong with numbers defensively. Duncan tries to knock it on to Buse. He's run down. I reckon he had prior opportunity then, Jed Buse. The umpire disagrees.
I think Joey Danaher might just wander over to Dyson Heppel, have a little chat and say, can you not just sit it on the head and allow the Geelong defender to run, jump and put a knee fair and square in my back, please?
48 metres out from goal for the Bombers. Devon Smith lively early. Feeds the handball up to Stringer. Just hooks it around his body on the right. Danaher toe pokes it forward, but Tom Stewart comes up with it for Geelong. Handball to Duncan. He in turn gets it away. O'Connor waited for it. Now he goes to Kelly. Was always under pressure. Incorrect disposal should result in a free kick to the Bombers, and I reckon it's going to be James Stewart to take it between wing and half forward.
Essendon's physicality and tackling has been a high point of this quarter. You can see that they've been working on it pre-season, and it's showing.
Just sits it up to the hot spot. Umpires again plucked out a free kick. It's going the Cats' way on this occasion. Another shepherding one there, Lingy.
Yeah, Harry Taylor got it. I think just getting blocked out of that marking contest. They are hot on it. Let's see if that happens in 2 weeks' time.
Constable laterally to Joel Selwood, who kicked up the line. Jermaine Jones on the second pluck. Nice grab. Hang my TV mark of the day contender. Backward of this broadcast wing. Went right, then turned onto his left. Bounces in front of Parfitt. And out for a throw-in right in front of our commentary position. AFL Nation for Macca's 24 McNuggets, just $9.95. Essendon 3 straight 18. Geelong 2-1-13 as we tick up to 25 minutes in this opening term.
So the ball right in front of our broadcast position on this western side of Central Reserve. Terrific crowd in. The venue holds about 10,000. I'd say there's about 8, if not more, in at the moment. As from the boundary throw-in, again a bit of shepherding in the ruck. Was it holding off the ball?
Yeah, just off it. Yeah, the umpire from out of the zone paid that one to Dyson Heppel. They are hot on all the free kicks at the moment.
So the umpires, I reckon they've been warming up for weeks. They're hot on everything.
They're a bit excited.
Blitzarves now. Off centre wing, tries to drive it forward. Dangerfield against Heppel. Dangerfield lunges at the ball. Heppel lunges at him in turn. It comes out to Parfitt. Handball to Parrish was surely taken high. The umpire saw that too, and Blitzarves the offender on that occasion. So Darcy Parrish, right half back for the Bombers. They're 3 straight 18. Geelong 2-1-13. Tyre Power scoreboard.
40 games under his belt now, Darcy Parrish. That period, sort of 50 to 150 games, that's where you start really understanding the game, being able to run out the game better as a midfielder. So big few seasons coming up for Darcy Parrish. 3-on-3
contest. Heppel marks front position. The kick not great as his opposite number, and Joel Selwood marks Thurlow inside defensive 50. He in turn releases to Kolodjasny,
who steers it to Kelly, right half back. Gets off his mark quickly. Nice follow-up work by Parfitt, who's covering the ground nicely early on. Just waits it for Menzel, who let it slip through his fingers. Gleeson pounds now for the Bombers. Tumbled it forward by hand to Zaharakis, who lost his footing. Wanted some help from Zach Merritt. He could only toe poke it towards the boundary line where the Cats had the numbers. Tracked by Kelly, who lays it off to Parfitt. Now Stewart and Kolodjasny. Parfitt spearing ball as a worm-burning type punt kick. Jermaine Jones couldn't trap it. Bombers now on the rebound. Outer side wing position. Here goes McKenna, who handballed at the feet of Hooker. Menzel stood up in a strong tackle. Did well. Laid it off to Tom Stewart, who kicked off one step. Hawkins the meat and the sandwich. Free kick picked out. It's an Essendon free kick. Deep inside defensive 50, and they'll repel the pressure. Essendon 3 straight, Geelong 2-1-13.
Gee, the Tomahawk wasn't happy with that hands in the back free kick, Lingy.
No, he was not at all, and might even just have a little chat to the umpire as well. But the other thing, Paddy Dangerfield had parked himself 25 metres out from goal, had Dyson Heppel, and that ball in that contest got over the back, and I think Dangerfield was ready to pounce and slot that one home, but the free kick saved them.
So boundary throw-in, 70 metres around from goal for the Cats. Northern or Colac end of Central Reserve. Blitzarves just grabs it out of the ruck. Handballs it forward about 10 metres, and Devon Smith sees it over and will start all over again. 50 metres this time around from goal for the Cats, who are 2-1-13. Essendon 3 straight 18 on the Tyre Power scoreboard.
Devon Smith spending time as well as expected on ball. Made his name at the Giants as a small forward, but no doubt they're going to use him a lot throughout this season. Bursts on ball as well as a goal-kicking forward.
Brian Myers from ground level feeds it up to Dangerfield, who takes a flying shot. Sets it out to the left, and that's where it stays. Cats 2-2, Essendon 3 straight. AFL Nation footy with thanks to Macca's McNuggets. Treat yourself today through 3AW in Melbourne and relays right across Australia.
Joey Danaher wants the ball kicked out here desperately. He's got a lovely little mismatch on Mark O'Connor, but they're going the other side of the ground.
They do move towards left half back. A good decision too. Heppel sliding takes the mark below the scoreboard. Now he just sits one on the head of a teammate. It was dangerous stuff. Parrish was the man involved. Kelly on his left foot, kicked inside 50 to the hot spot, brought to ground level with a nice ball from Gleeson. Now McKenna ran himself into trouble. Dispossessed. And a holding the ball free kick goes the way of the big Tomahawk, who he said we wanted to see get involved.
I thought he'd got the hand, and for a little bit of arguing, they're going to pay a 50-metre penalty, so the Tomahawk will definitely hit the scoreboard. Now he'll kick this one from the goal line, but I thought the Essendon player had got his hands to that one, but perhaps the umpire suggested the fist had missed, and it was a throw, illegal disposal.
Kangan Institute replay screen, kangan.edu.au. Didn't seem to be too much in it. As you say, Lingy, almost looked like he got that legal disposal away. Umpire Pennell not agreeing with either of us. And Hawkins will come in and put the Cats back in front. Geelong 3-2-20. Essendon 3 straight 18 on the Tyre Power no tyre safety scoreboard with 2 minutes and 9 seconds left in this first term.
And maybe just one of the local Colac houses is happy, because I reckon that's landed in someone's backyard, that footy, and I don't reckon that's coming back. I reckon some kid's going to wander home from the footy and find a brand new Sharon sitting in there. Hey, thank you very much.
If the kids here were smart, they'd all huddle around that end of the ground just to get themselves a souvenir. Essendon 3 straight 18. Geelong back in front. 3-2-20. Sun shining down here on Central Reserve. They've done so much work on this venue over the last 10 years. It really is a first-class facility. You go back 10 years and wasn't even worthy of local footy. Now it's hosting an AFL pre-season match. Chambers in the middle, won it down, went down the throat though at Dangerfield. He knocked it to Selwood, who knocked it in the Thurlow direction, and Selwood was actually held after he knocked it on, and will get the free kick. He's kicked it straight into the man on the marking, Josh Green. Green in turn goes short to Danaher, still inside the centre square. Joe winds up on the left, empty goal square, bounce, goal. Talking about making the Cats pay. 4 straight, 24 the Bombers. Geelong 3-2-20, higher power scoreboard.
And it doesn't matter that it is a practice match, and it doesn't matter that Joel Selwood is one of the great players in the competition.
It was an error.
It was an error, and he will be filthy on himself. And a couple of Bombers players just wandered past and perhaps suggested something along those lines. And he can't help himself. He's that competitive. This next contest at the centre bounce, I'm sure, will be fierce. But nice finish from Joey Danaher. What he does best, as soon as he marks it, just looks to wheel and play on, and could have a shot then because the goal square was vacant. But even if it hadn't been, there was a lead on. Things happen. He could make a decision on the move. I love it when he does that. Uses his mobility to his advantage.
Injury update for Arnold Thomas and Becker. Over 40 years experience in personal injury law. Stanley off the ground, so we'll keep a close eye on what's going on downstairs as Menzel snaps round the corner from 25. That's poetry in motion from the Cats as he kicks his second. And the Cats find themselves in front on the stroke of quarter time. You said, Lingy, they'd come out to that centre clearance firing, and they certainly were. It wasn't textbook stuff, but it was effective goal sneak play by Menzel.
Yeah, again, so clever, Dan Menzel, and I think it took 10 minutes to kick the first goal here, and it was scrappy, but we've now got a bit of a shootout in the latter part of this first quarter. Nice to see. The game is opening up a little bit. Just players perhaps get a little bit weary, but also just feel the ball and get a little bit of touch. They get a little bit cleaner. There's a bit more space just opening up, and you're right, Mark Blitzarv's again contesting this ruck, so Reece Stanley hasn't spent a lot of time on the ground, and even Paddy Dangerfield now just heading off with the physio and doctor, so we'll keep a close eye on that one. Make sure the Geelong superstar is not hurt at all.
Parsons got a clearing kick, but only as far as Ben McNeese for the Bombers. Off half-back, kicks to his skipper at left half-back, and Dyson Heppel drives it down the wing, wanted hooker, punched away from behind by Kolodjasny, and it goes out of bounds, and we'll see a boundary throw in between wing and half forward for the Cats. It was rumoured last year, Lee, that Kolodjasny could be part of a trade to go up and play with his brother on the Gold Coast for Gary Ablett, but too important of a player defensively now for the Cats.
Yeah, and I don't think the Cats were ever entertaining that. They absolutely love him. I know Matty Scarlett, as his defensive coach, loves his development and how far he's come. Spent a bit of time on the wing last year, but they're keen with Tom Lonigan's retirement and Lockie Henderson's injury for him to lock down one of those key defensive backs spots early on in the season.
Left leg knock, boys, to Reece Stanley, apparently icing below us, so it looks like his day might be over.
Kolodjasny to Charlie Constable, who's been lively early this afternoon. Charlie Constable, second round pick in last year's national draft. High ball now toward right half forward, Hawkins' direction, punched away from behind by Paddy Ambrose. There's a free kick for Geelong, a 2-eye infringement. Tim Kelly to take it. The mature age recruit, high ball toward the top of the goal square. Chambers in the middle of the pack, just knocks it down toward the boundary line, and a throw in right forward pocket for the Cats. 4 straight 24 the Bombers. Geelong by 2 points, 4-2-26.
Didn't mark it that time, but just again Blitzarv signalling his intent to get forward on Chambers. Playing as a ruckman, he flew for that marking contest deep in the forward line, really trying to run him round.
Just 15 seconds left on the Ray White clock. Chambers' front position wanted to knock that one towards the boundary and out, and was successful.
As you would if you could run like Mark Blitzarv. You'd run everybody around. Probably stating the obvious there. I was, Tristan. Sorry about that.
As we look at the Kangan Institute replay screen, Dangerfield just pulled up short after kicking a ball inside 50, it seems. So he's in the Cats' rooms as we speak, and we'll update you as soon as we have word. One down to Joel Selwood, who tried the check side. Ratugolea came, fumbled. Hawkins check side, poster. And that will be all she wrote. And the quarter-time score will read Geelong 4-3-27. Essendon 4 straight 24, and as we said, Lingy, after a scrappy start, a highly entertaining encounter.
It was, and a few important touches for Jake Stringer, Devon Smith, these types of players new to the Bombers. I'm just going to stop here, Tristan, because something is going on still at the ground. I think a free kick perhaps has been plucked as he kicked, maybe,
Well, it's going to Ratugolea, in fact.
Yeah, so there is going to be another score before this quarter-time break. Now, I have no idea what for, but the umpires would have been all over it.
He tries the check side, and
there isn't going to be a score.
Misses everything. So, comedy of errors, and we finally have quarter time. Geelong 4-2, 26, Essendon 4 straight 24. Here on AFL Nation, Central Reserve in Colac, the venue. All for Macca's 24 McNuggets, just $9.95.
You're listening to AFL Nation for Tyre Power. Get the power of expert advice at Tyre Power.